Hi guys, so my name is Maddie and this is my presentation that I'll be doing about Uyghur Muslims in China. So first I'm going to go through a little bit of an introduction about who they are, some of their history, and how they made it to China. A lot about their culture, kind of the food, the language, religion, clothes, etc., and about the re-education camps in China and their current situation through a genocide. So first, who are the Uyghurs? The Uyghurs are a Turkic ethnic group living in Xinjiang and in the Uyghur Autonomous Region, and they are one of China's 55 ethnic minorities that are currently being cleansed by the Chinese government. There are 42% of Uyghurs living in Xinjiang, so there are 12 million of the 25 million inhabitants living there. And their main religion is Islam, so about 80% of the Uyghur populations in Xinjiang are Muslim. The language that they speak is a Turkic language that uses Arabic and modern Uzbek loanwords. So while they do speak Uyghur, many of them also speak Russian, Mandarin, and Standard Chinese and Anyu, which is a northern coastal Japanese language. Since they all live in close proximity to these places, a lot of them are bilingual or trilingual, but their main language is Uyghur. This is a picture of what it looks like. So as you can see, there are a lot of Arab influences in the syntax of it. And the Uyghur language has also been banned in Beijing schools to be taught or spoken in order to strengthen Mandarin Chinese. So many of the Uyghur books are also taken off of shelves to enforce this. This is a picture of the Quran written in Uyghur language. So just wanted to give that as an example of what it looks like and what it looks like when it's printed in books. And now a little bit of their history. So the Uyghurs are descendants from the Turkic tribes who arrived at the Chinese border in 540 AD and between the Oghuz Turks who migrated between 750 and 840. And here's a picture of the Oghuz Turkish Empire in Turkey. And so these people all went up to China. So that's kind of who they are. This is a timeline of the important events in their history. So in 540, the Turkic tribes arrived to the Chinese border. In 840, there was a resettlement in Tarim Basin after the collapse of the Turkic Khaganate. And then in 942, the Turkic ruler Abdülkarim Satu Bukhara Khan comes to power, and in 936, I think he converted to Islam. So later, in 960, there was a mass reversion to Islam under his power. And that's why so many of the adults still living in the Uyghur Autonomous Region are Muslim. And then in 1921 was when Sergei Malov changed their name from the Xinjiang Turkic peoples to the Uyghurs. So now a little bit about their culture. These are some popular dishes in the Uyghur region in Xinjiang. So there's lakman, which are hand-pulled noodles with lamb, vegetables, and spicy sauces. And then samba, which is a meat pie that can be made of either lamb or beef or both, and onions and like a bread encrustment. And then polo is a rice dish with lamb and braised carrots, and big plate chicken is an entire chicken and noodles, potatoes, and a bunch of peppers and chili peppers all put together. So yeah. This is some traditional Uyghur clothing. So they usually have braids that are super long. They go all the way down to the floor for women. And a lot of times their braids are significant of their marital status. So women who have two long braids are typically married, and then women who have multiple long braids are not married. And then a lot of times they'll wear a dopa, which is a traditional Uyghur hat. So men and women both wear this, but typically it's the men who wear it. And then a shapan is these long colorful coats with like a designed vest sewed onto the front with long skirt or pants. So these are some Uyghur instruments. There's the kanun, sitar, gidjak, nagra, dumbek, sorna, and dotar, and these all come from different places around the Middle East and in East Asia. So the Uyghur instruments are mainly string-based, but sometimes they do have drums and flutes, and they have a strong influence on Arab, Uzbek, Tajik, and Chinese instrumentation. So the most common music styles for the Uyghur people are Turkic, Mongolic, South Asian, and the Islamic modal. And the Islamic modal is kind of based around this muqam, which is a melodic Arabic music style that's typically sung during Quran recitations. So one of their most popular dances is called the Sanam dance, and this is usually performed during weddings, parties, or festive occasions. And this is a picture of Uyghur dance tambourines that are sometimes used during these dances. So I chose this picture to represent Uyghur architecture because it has aspects from typical Chinese architecture and Arab architecture. So down here with these bottom pieces, that is a very common Arabic style for their buildings, and here with this balcony, it's very Chinese, so I thought it was a good blend to show the people that they are and the type of place that they're living in. These are some pictures of mosques in the Uyghur Autonomous Region. So there's not many, a lot of them are destroyed, but these are some that are still standing, and just wanted to show pictures of them. So yeah, as I said, 2/3 of mosques have been demolished in Xinjiang in an effort to restrict the practice of Islam. So they've kind of decommissioned, closed down, demolished, or secularly converted the mosques, and now over half of them have been destroyed. So now I'm going to talk about re-education and kind of the ethnic cleansing and genocide of the Uyghurs in the current day. So this is a picture of Uyghurs who are forced into re-education camps. And I kind of want to go over like why they're sent to the camps and what happens to them when they're there. So they're sent there because they're trying to counter extremism or terrorism and to deter separatist ideas, because in the eyes of the Chinese government, the Uyghurs are viewed as a threat to national security and order of the state. So that's kind of why they're put there. And the whole idea of them going there is to re-educate them on Chinese ideologies. So while they're there, they're also forced into textile production with like severe working conditions, and they suffer a lot of torture or sexual abuse in these camps. So they're not actually being re-educated. And I wanted to go over a little bit about what genocide is and why what's happening to them is considered a genocide. So the United Nations defines genocide as 5 different actions. One of them is killing people of this group, that is a ethnic group, a national group, racial or religious, is to cause physical or mental health problems to that person and harm to them, to deliberately inflict conditions of life calculated to bring about the group's physical destruction or whole in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births, and forcibly transferring children. So these 5 things are all happening to the Uyghur Muslims because they are forced into sterilization, contraception, and abortion. They receive intense surveillance. Their children are forced to be transferred to different schools and places. There's serious physical harm through the forced labor and torture that's happening in the re-education camps, and there's mental harm happening to them too by restricting their cultural and religious practices. So that's why the Uyghurs are considered to be going through a genocide. And the United States also constitutes that that their actions are counted for the Uyghurs being genocide and the crimes against humanity happening to them. So there's a few restrictions that are happening just in their society and not in the camps. These are some religious restrictions that are happening to them, which is that they're being restricted to fast and participate during Ramadan, which is the holy month in Islam. They're restricted to travel directly to Mecca for pilgrimage. So a lot of times when people are trying to go, they have to travel to another country first, then to Saudi Arabia, because otherwise they'll be severely questioned. And also some Quran apps have been banned in the App Store to keep them from reading them, and there have been certain Islamic names that have been banned for use with the Uyghurs, like Hussein, Aisha, Rafat, Fatima, and Salam. So there's a lot of intense surveillance that happens during Ramadan, so they end up like questioning families about their fasting habits, if they've been fasting, and there's home inspections to survey the way that they've been living during the month. These are some pictures of protests that are happening against the genocide right now. So I just wanted to show those. They have their flag in the background. And in conclusion, I just wanted to say that it's important to remember that collective punishment is not okay, and we cannot blame Chinese people for the crimes of their government. So we have to uplift Chinese people and preserve the culture and lives of the Uyghurs as well. So I hope that I was able to teach you guys a little bit about the Uyghurs and their culture and what's happening to them in the world right now.